Well, Ntanzi, as you correctly pointed out, we were expecting that cross-examination by Sipho Ramosepele, who's representing accused number 1 and 2, to continue. However, he alerted the presiding judge just shortly before we took the tea adjournment that he was not feeling well. So after we returned from tea, he informed the court that he was not able to continue, and then the matter was postponed to Monday. So quite a short continuation of the cross-examination this morning by Sipho Ramosepele of Mthokozisi, who you correctly pointed out is the second witness in this matter, who was inside the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed, to take the stand. In that short cross-examination this morning, he was basically asked on whether he heard any noises prior to the intruders entering the house of Kerry Khumalo's mother, which was the crime scene in Vosloorus. And he responded by saying no. He went on also to describe how the first intruder was carrying a gun and how the second one had been carrying a knife, how they demanded cell phones and money. This is very much in line with what we heard in his evidence in chief before he concluded it yesterday. Also asked about Longwe Twala, at which point he was able to run outside the house. You'd remember one of the issues of clarity that the state sought to put through yesterday was the fact that initially in his statement, Mthokozisi had indicated that Longwe Twala had dropped a gun, and then in his evidence in chief giving testimony inside this court, he basically said that Longwe Twala had stood up, was the first person to stand up and push the intruder who had the gun and was able to flee or to get outside the house. So those were one of the crucial aspects that we were expecting Sipho Ramosepele to question in cross-examination Mthokozisi today. Also, on the issue of the descriptions of these weapons that were carried, he was unable to say what the color of the gun was, whether it was a rifle or a shotgun, and also the size of the knife that was carried by the second intruder, whom he says at some point Senzo Meyiwa had stood up and was able to push the first intruder, who was carrying the gun, and push towards the kitchen. You would recall this is somewhat in line with the testimony that was given by the first person or witness that was inside the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed, Tumelo Madlala, who you would know was also a very close friend of Senzo Meyiwa, who also described during his testimony inside this court about how Senzo Meyiwa had been wrestling with one of the intruders inside the house. So Twala also saying at some point Senzo Meyiwa had gone towards one of these intruders and was wrestling with one of them. You'd recall that Tumelo Madlala had subsequently then pointed out accused number 2, who was last week Friday denied bail as one of the intruders that was inside the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So we're expecting much of the cross-examination, Zinga, next week to be around the exact day when the incident took place, the 26th of October 2014, in which he would be then cross-examined on how he believed those events unfolded, and I guess parts of the initial testimony or the statement that he made regarding the dropping of the gun by Longwe Twala.